All right, looks like we're good to go.
Okay, I will call the Wednesday, May 6th Board of Selectmen's meeting and call it to order. Go, Tim.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions on the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 19, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Freetown Board of Selectmen is being conducted via remote participation. Just lost my spot. Hold on a moment. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort is being made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to view this meeting while in progress may do so by accessing the live stream of the meeting on the town's YouTube channel, youtube.com/freetownma, or accessible by visiting freetownma.gov/freecam. In the event the live stream is unsuccessful, I am recording this meeting, and the meeting will be posted to the town's YouTube channel as soon as I am able to, following the conclusion of this meeting.
Thank you.
First thing on the agenda today is updates on the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and how they apply to town operations and services.
Eric?
All right, good morning, everybody. I got a couple of updates for everybody, and then I will have a couple of topics for discussion. Some updates for us. We'll go over the numbers real quick. As of yesterday, Massachusetts, we're at 70,241 cases. 1,184 new cases were yesterday. For deaths, we're at 4,212 in the state with 122 new ones yesterday. And at Freetown right now, we will be reporting at least one new case today. So we're currently at 65. We had gone the last 2 days without any cases, which was great, but we have at least one new one, and we're working on something else that might be updated before we usually go around 3:30. I want to update everyone to remind everyone that the mask order that Governor Baker signed in is in place as of today. So any public places that you go, you will be required to wear face covering, and even outdoors, if you're in an area that you cannot socially distance properly, then face coverings will be recommended. Required. There can be up to a $300 fine for that. I really don't want to issue fines on this one, so I'm asking the businesses in town to really be strict on not allowing entry of anyone not wearing a face covering. And to the residents, just be smart when you're out in public. If you're going for a walk, and you should at least have a face covering with you. That way, if you end up in a situation where you turn a corner and all of a sudden there's 15 people there, you can at least just throw the mask on real quick. But be smart about it and make sure that that people are going to be watching. People will be calling. And so I'm really hoping that the businesses step up and just not allow entry. So that's probably the biggest update. As far as recreational camps, seasonal camps, pools, we keep asking the question about getting some guidance on that from the state, and we keep getting told that it's going to be part of the May 18th plan. So I really don't have any kind of info on camps or pools at this point. Couple of discussion points now that I would like to bring up. One is I've been talking to Mike, especially last night. Me and Mike talked for quite a while about town meeting. I'll throw it out for discussion, but me and Mike did go over. We had some thoughts about different things that we could put in place if we were to do an outdoor town meeting. How would that work functionally? What safety precautions will we need to put into place? The other two things that I would like to discuss in this meeting, if we can, would be how we're going to handle the boat ramp and the beach for this season. So I'd like to open that up for discussion. We can start with the town meeting, I guess.
Well, I have a couple of questions first. Yep. And I've asked you this before, but it's good to make this public knowledge. Where is the town of Freetown in comparison to other communities?
We are a little bit higher. As to why, I don't know. I mean, I have a couple of assumptions maybe, but concrete answers why. But we are a little bit elevated compared to some of our adjoining neighbors. Obviously, we're nowhere near New Bedford and Fall River, but we are a little bit higher than Lakeville. We are a little bit higher than Dayton. We are a little bit less than Middleborough, where when I tried to do it by, the whole state, and we're kind of like sitting in the middle range of per capita. Why we're higher, I wish I had an answer. I'd like to say it's probably because we touch New Bedford and Fall River, so there may be a little more transmission of our residents into the bigger cities. But other than that, I mean, I'm just kind of spitballing at that point. I don't really have a good answer.
All right, and my second question is, do Amazon and Stop and Shop report to you about all of their cases, or do you get no info on them at all?
No, I'm getting cases from both. We know about them in Maven, and we've actually updated it to the point that we know about ones in town, out of town. So we're finding out about pretty much all the cases now coming from there, not just if it's our residents. We're still only reporting our resident numbers. So the numbers that we have from Stop and Shop are not reflective in our 65.
Right.
But we're finding out about all of them now. Yeah.
Okay. Charlie or George?
Derek, I have a question, maybe, because I don't see it on figures. Do we have any figures on the rate of recoveries?
I can get that. Let me see if I can look it up actually real quick.
Because I kind of watched through the globe, which is kind of it's outdated a little bit of the information, but I never see a rate of.
I'll work on getting you that answer right now. If somebody has another question, and I'll come right back to you, Charlie, on that.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, George.
Who enforces the face mask in businesses?
The complaints are going to end up coming to the health department. I'm going to do the best I can to enforce it. If it becomes something that is a little bit over my head, if it becomes more than I can handle on my own, then I will eventually need to ask for help from the local police department. But I'm hoping that it's something that I can handle myself and it doesn't get out of control.
The reason I ask is I've been in a couple of the local businesses yesterday. I don't know if the order was in place yesterday. I believe it was.
No, the order is in place as of today.
Oh, okay. Okay, because these businesses again had employees working without masks, but
yeah, today it's enforceable. It was not. Yes.
The other enforcement agency is actually the Mass Public Health, although they basically delegated that responsibility back to the local boards of health through the health agent. Just a couple things that I wanted to bring up. We had a discussion yesterday, Lisa, Derek, and I, regarding the placement of some signs. Lisa had suggested, and it was a good suggestion, that we put up signs in town that basically encourage people to wear face masks. And I think that honestly, it really concerns me about the whole face mask issue, because I think there's a disconnect there with the public as to the purpose of the face mask. The face mask is not to protect me, it's to protect you from me. And that's why it's important that the other person also wear a mask. If I'm wearing a mask, I can still catch it from somebody that's not wearing a mask. But if we're both wearing a mask, we have basically zero-summed the potential of both of us getting the coronavirus. So I think it's important that we get that message out. We had talked about contacting, Derek and Lisa had talked about contacting the businesses to remind them of the importance of having masks on their employees and not allowing customers into their stores or into their places of business if they do not have a mask on. And we'd like to make sure that that's enforced. We also want to get that message out through our social media, maybe do a one call, as well as the website and Facebook and all of those other functions. The key places, I guess, are groceries, pharmacies, and on public transportation. That's the thing that the state is talking about. One of the things I did hear regarding the May 18th deadline, or the date when the governor is going to make a decision. I was in on the CEO conference yesterday on MMA. And the one of the misunderstandings I think about the May 18th date is that we are going to be reopening the state on that date. And that is not what I was hearing. The May 18th date is going to be specifically for having a plan in place, or announcing a plan in place on how we're going to phase in the reopening. So May 18th is not the drop dead date when everything is going to open up and everything's going to be back to normal. Certain businesses are going to be allowed to open based upon certain social distancing and based upon the use of masks. The other thing that I want to make aware of in terms of the reopening plan, I've already had an inquiry by an employee about what the policy is going to be regarding masks. And I'm hoping this is not going to be an issue, but this employee had expressed a concern about their inability to wear a mask. And in that case, I think we're going to have to do what we would do on like an ADA type of setup, where we'd have to provide reasonable accommodation to that employee by social distancing them away from the general public and from their fellow employees.
Charlie, the dashboard didn't have the recovery rate. I will get you that answer.
Right. That's basically, I just wanted, and the other things that were talked
Can you
about
hear me,
were,
David?
what?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
we- George.
George,
Yes.
Something going on in the background and somebody.
I can hear you.
Okay, who has the radio or TV on in the
Yeah, I
background?
don't know.
Make it very hard to hear.
It is hard to hear.
Charlie?
I'm good. Not me.
Lisa,
Not
I think it's
me.
actually you.
Yeah, I have a TV in the other room. Want me to shut it off?
Yeah, that would be good, Lisa.
Okay, sorry.
Derek, thanks for the
No,
information.
I still have a question.
Oh, there we go.
It comes back.
Is that better?
Oh, much
That's
better.
excellent.
Okay, sorry.
I have a couple of questions. On the employee that can't wear the face mask, is it because of a health issue?
They feel like they can't breathe. They're saying that they feel like it impedes their breathing.
Maybe it should try a different mask because
They indicated, I didn't deal directly with this. It came through a department head. So, but they have tried different things. They've gone into the stores and they said they feel like they're suffocating. So
there's
I think
no,
that,
no medical issue.
I can't speak to whether they have a medical, I don't know. I can't.
I
I've
mean,
heard it. I honestly can't.
I mean, my opinion on that would be if they have a medical issue, then they shouldn't be at work if they can't wear a mask. I mean, I think we should get some more data on that.
So- The reason why I'm like so adamant about these face masks is because if you look at our numbers are higher in Freetown, right? And like Derek said, we have New Bedford on one side and we have Fall River on the other side. And we have Amazon and Stop and Shop, and we have truck drivers and everybody else coming into our town, not wearing a face mask, going into, Juniors or any of those other places. And I think that that's how we're getting maybe higher cases, right? Because we touch things that other people touch and blah, blah, blah. So I think that we should enforce Juniors and any of the convenience stores to have their employees wear masks and to have anybody that walks into that building to have a mask on. Otherwise, I don't think they should serve them or allow them in. And I really think that we need to enforce, as much as we don't want to, we need to set an example and we need to enforce. Otherwise, it's going to become so lax that no one's going to have a face mask on, and we're going to be back in the same situation that we were in previously. So I think that that's why we wanted to just encourage people to wear masks, to make sure that, just like David said, it's not about you, it's about, or it's not about me, it's about you, and it's about both of us protecting one another from anything that we can catch or throw at one another. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. That's just me. Charlie, what do you think?
Yeah, and I hate to bring this up, but maybe this is the hammer that we have to hold over people's heads, is that a lot of these places that are open do have a town license. And I'm wondering if we should kind of warn them that, you know, that could be a option if they don't do their part in enforcing these laws. Because if you, no matter who you are, if you own a store, and in this case, you don't want someone in there because they don't have a mask, you can tell them, you know, you're not coming into on my property, you're not coming into my business without a mask. And you know, I don't want to see that. I don't see. I think really when we look at the polls and we see what many, you know, most people want to do their part, but sometimes they're ignorant, and sometimes, oh, I'm just going to be running here. It's only my local store, and you know, I don't have to worry about it. And I don't want to, you know, propose it now, but I think maybe we might, you know, send a little tickling, so to speak, to these businesses and tell them, you know, that's how we're gonna have to enforce it if it comes to that. We don't want it to come to that, but if it comes to that, that might have to be. That's my
George?
feeling.
My big concern is that once, if it's not enforced, then it becomes, the whole issue goes sideways. And that's what happened in Oklahoma, where people said, hey, you constitutionally, you can't prohibit me from not wearing a mask. And I think it's up to us to say, yes, we can require you to wear a mask or social distance in accordance with, you know, the protocol and standards that are being laid out by both the state and the federal government. You know, in fact, Oklahoma completely backed off it. The government said it's optional. I don't, in no way, shape, or form should this be an optional choice. This is us protecting each other. And if we're not going to do that, we're going down a really slippery slope.
George?
I totally agree with you guys, especially what Charlie just said about putting their license in jeopardy if they continue to refuse to follow the recommendations. But I have another question here. There's a lot of discussion here about who discussed what. But it seems to me that the whole Board of Health should be in these discussions. David, I'm not sure exactly what's going on, who you're discussing what with, but as the Board of Health, I feel totally left out of discussions.
No. George, I asked a couple of questions yesterday. I asked Derek, Carlton, and David specific questions. And this is where the conversation came from. This was going to be all brought up today anyway. I asked Carlton about an increase in domestic violence from people staying home. I asked David if there, how the Council on Aging was handling safety checks on those senior citizens that are at home. And I asked Derek about what are we going to do to businesses and how are we going to handle wearing masks. And I knew that all of this was going to be brought up today, but I wanted to know the answers before I came here. So there was no backdoor thing. I just had questions. I wanted to know, because the governor, I listen to the governor every day, and there has been an increase in domestic violence. And I wanted to know, in town, are we increasing domestic violence, and are we doing safety checks, and what is our protocol for that? Because it was a concern to me. And then that's what sparked about checking in on our senior citizens. So it was just three very specific phone calls that I had. And I do think that the whole Board of Health, maybe we should see how this goes over the next 2 weeks, put this on the agenda for our next meeting, And if this is going sideways in any way, then we can vote on what we're gonna do and how we're gonna handle businesses that are not demanding people wear masks on the way in. What do you think about that?
Well, that's fine.
Okay,
It wasn't, George, it wasn't a meeting that we had. It was
that's
an email.
that's all
There
right.
was an email Lisa had
David, I'm
sent out and
good.
everybody
I'm good with
responded
the issue.
individually.
I'm good with the issue, David, really.
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't do that. I mean, if we're gonna have a meeting and we're gonna discuss for the health issues, then we have to have a meeting and discuss them. And I think that this issue, the safety mask and the face mask, and seeing where we're going with this, definitely should be on the agenda. Let's see how it weighs out for the next 2 weeks. And if it doesn't work out and people are just going in without a face mask on, and I think that Charlie's recommendation and your follow-up through that is something that we should discuss and vote on at the next meeting.
And can we also put on the agenda for that meeting, probably? We had air testing done for Excel. I've
We
never
don't
really
want to be
heard-
talking about that.
We
don't-
we can put it on for executive session, but we can't talk about it because Charlie's here and he can't hear
No, no,
about
Not on the
anything.
agenda.
I don't want to discuss it. I just want to bring it up to get it on the agenda.
Okay, we'll put it on the agenda. We'll
Okay,
have an update on under executive session.
Good.
Okay. So let's just take a consensus, because that everybody's okay with Derek letting the businesses know that you know, that, or informing them today's the date, they have to start having patrons wear masks.
And
Not
Council-
only patrons, but
Employees,
employees.
yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, it's it's an order for everyone, not just residents, it's employees,
Right.
it's
but do you think it's appropriate to put down the remedy if they don't follow the guidelines?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah. The first.
I actually think that
Fine.
we should enforce it. If there's a situation where somebody is not being in compliant, I think you have to send that message out there that this is not going to be something that we're gonna, take lightly. That, if somebody is not wearing a mask in a public place, then they should be fined. I know that's a hard step, but I think that sends a message that we're serious about this and that we are going to be enforcing that. And I don't know how Derek feels about that. Would it be a standard like ticket kind of thing? I know that there's a ticketing procedure,
Yeah.
a citation process.
It would follow the civil penalties like a regular ticket that we would issue. That
You
would, that
have
would,
those tickets.
is we issue tickets, up to $300. Obviously the first step is going to be a warning. Second step would be a ticket. And then I would use what's being discussed right now is like the third option. So you've been warned, you've been fined, you're still not listening. Now it's,
Then we
now,
could go step 3.
then we go step 3. Yeah. I would
I
say
don't
that's
want, I don't,
a wrong step 3, but it's a good one.
okay.
We can't keep talking over one another. It's really hard to understand. Go ahead, David.
I think if it comes down to I think the businesses will comply. I don't see that as the issue. I see people trying to get into the stores or the business without a mask. That's the bigger issue. And I don't know how you catch those people other than the business owner saying, hey, no, you can't come in if you don't have a mask.
that has to happen.
And if it's a business, it's not. They're blatantly saying, or letting people in without masks. Then yes, we're going to go after the business. Or if their employees are not wearing masks, then we should definitely be going after the business. And once again, warning, fine, and then take a look at their license.
George?
I was just going to say I shouldn't say most, but many of the stores like Stop and Shop and Shaw's have a big sign, no entry without a mask, period. And all the stores should have that. And anyone walking in should be asked to leave.
We should maybe require that they post it on their front door.
That would be good.
Is that
Derek.
something we could do, Derek?
Yeah, some have it. And I have one I believe I can email out to them also if they could get it up easily.
Okay, so we're good on this, right? I think we're all on the same page. I suggested maybe putting something on the signs and getting all residents used to it. Something really simple like wear a mask, protect everyone. Keep that on our town signs for a little while and just use that as a sort of a mantra, a town mantra from us. So anyway, all right, we're good with that. Everybody okay?
I'm
I
good.
have the form on my desk to do up the signs Lisa's asking to do. I just wanted to get some clarification on what we were going to put on the signs, and then we'll get those up tomorrow. So I was like Lisa had suggested, maybe wear a mask, save a life, something simple like that on the two town signs.
Yeah, that would work.
I would,
Wear a mask
would-
to protect each other. Something, I don't know. I'm not good with that kind of
yeah.
stuff.
George?
Derek, I would have on the sign, wear a mask and the word, this is mandated. So people know it's not optional.
We could do something like that, however everyone feels.
I'm good with it. I'm good with whatever. Yes. Tell people that, yes, it's mandatory. It's not just for them. Oh, I feel fine. Well, as we
Or
know,
something says masks are not optional.
yes.
How about we just put, wear a mask, save a life, or wear a mask, protect everyone, mandatory.
That sounds good.
Yep.
Mandatory at the bottom, you know what I mean? But something simple, because people are not gonna read like a whole thing, but if they see something simple, like 4 words and then mandatory at the bottom, then they'll understand where we're coming from.
Mhm.
Okay.
If
Okay,
you really wanted to juice it up, you could say $300 fine, you know?
yeah, let's
That would
not
work.
keep it simple right now. All right, Derek, what was the other thing you wanted to talk about?
I wanted to touch about the beach and the boat ramp. The beach, more a question on, do we think we're going to open the beach? How are we going to, are we going to put any kind of rules, regs down at the beach? And then the boat ramp is going to be open. The state's pretty much made that clear. I already got the template for the sign. I've ordered the sign that we're going to have down at the boat ramp. My concern is, how are we going to run the operations down there? Right now we have it staffed usually, one person on Saturday, one person on Sunday from Memorial Day to Labor Day. It's kind of unrealistic to expect them to be able to, do their normal job and be, social distance warriors to everyone at the boat ramp. So I'm kind of concerned about how we're gonna, do the boat ramp this year. Those were the other 2 issues I wanted to bring up. We can have a discussion and maybe come up with a decision next week, but I at least wanted to put the food for thought out there on the beach and the boat ramp.
So I think that, obviously with the beach, I think we should listen to whatever the governor is gonna come out with. And I think that we should certainly all 3 of us, 4 of us, 5 of us should think about what we all want to see happen once that opens up. But I think right now we'll let the governor handle the beach situation. As far as the boat ramp, I don't know.
Man,
I'm wondering if it's
What-
worth.
what is the issue with the boat ramp as far as public health is concerned? Shouldn't be-
I'm more concerned with, we have, 2 older people, 1 per day on a weekend, and they're going to be dealing with all the people, dealing with the money, trying to tell people to wear a mask. And I'm a little concerned about how logistically it's going to work for them. That was my issue. As far as public safety part of it, it's the boating is boating, so I don't really feel like there's a huge issue with that. But like, there's some little rules, like, you're only supposed to have people from your own household on a boat. Like, there's no way that my attendants are going to be able to know if everyone that's going on that boat is from the same household, or things like that. That it just, the more I thought about it, the more it was a little bit concerning.
Derek, what is the purpose of having someone there? Is it to collect the funds? Is it to regulate who comes and goes? Is it
Basically,
police the area? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, basically, it's just to collect the funds.
Well,
They
maybe,
try to manage it the best that they can, but the main job is just to collect the funds.
how reasonable is it to say for the foreseeable future till this COVID virus thing is over, that we just let people use the ramp for free and not have any of these issues?
Because, well, I think we still have to regulate it because we can't have a free-for-all and then have the same issues that the lake people are really worried about with people, you know, dropping off their boat and then all of a sudden parking somewhere up the road. So I think that we still have to, I think that as much as Derek's saying collect the fees, I think it's two things. I think it's collect the fees and regulate how many people are in that parking lot at one time. And not allowing people to drop off their boat and then go park somewhere else. I think that I personally think it's a twofold approach, because then we can regulate how many people are on the pond, and then, you know, that's social distancing in itself. Thoughts?
No, that's, I just threw that out as a question. I mean, if there's a need for it, then by all means. I have no idea what the traffic is there. I mean, how many boats a day typically go in? Does anyone know?
It depends on the weather, really. Like, you can drive by and there's plenty of open spaces in the ramp. You can drive by and, you know, the triangle on 18 is full of trucks. It really depends on the day. Originally, I had thought what you had thought, George, of, you know, maybe we just don't collect it and we're good. But then I started thinking about what Lisa had said, and I was kind of like, that's why I wanted to bring it up for a discussion. It's kind of a catch-22 on that one.
I would
Charlie?
agree.
Charlie?
Yeah, I think I want to ponder a little bit, because on first blush, I would say I'm with George, but the other thing is we have to deal with other issues. And so, to be perfectly honest, I'd like to mull this over a little bit and come up with a firm opinion.
I wanted to bring it up this week because we're not opening the ramp next, you know,
right.
We don't have people there next week. We still have a couple of weeks to figure it out. Figured give out the info, give some food for thought, and then we can, you know, think about it, bring it up next week.
Right.
Okay.
And then
one more quick question.
Yep.
What do we have there for the attendant? Is there like a little booth there that protects the attendant, or do they sit in their car, or do they walk around?
There's a little booth down there. There's not much to it. It's basically just a wooden structure. But yeah, they do have a little booth.
Okay.
Maybe we should get one of those pop-up tents for them also, you know what I mean? So they don't have to stay inside that booth all the time. So maybe that's something that we can consider for them moving forward. All right, next thing.
The only thing I had left was town meeting. I didn't know if we wanted to discuss any logistics on that.
So we need to, Tim, on the agenda, vote on town meeting.
Yep, postponement of the annual town meeting and scheduling of the annual town meeting and special town meetings.
Okay, so we had talked about postponing. The schools have said that the date is available. The schools also said that the best way to do this is to have it outside, because if you think about the auditorium and the gym and thinking about 6 feet, you're not going to get 100 people in there, because you're going to have to do so many spaced out that maybe to have it on the football field. We have the sound system there. There's 2 entrances to come in at. Jackie is all in favor of having it outside and postponing it till the 21st. 20th. I keep going back and forth, sorry. So I'm looking for suggestions from the board, but Jackie, Derek, and David are all in agreement to have it outside.
The only question I would have is, do we have a good sound system there? We do.
Yeah, they use it for graduation, George.
Okay.
And if theirs isn't sufficient, we also have the one that we purchased for the office as well.
Okay,
I actually put together a checklist. We had a little discussion yesterday with the moderator, myself, Jackie, Lisa, and Ally about the logistics of town meeting and how those should be handled. And I put together a checklist of things that we need to address in terms of, for example, how the flow of the people. Well, number one is the continuation of the existing meeting and separating that out because certain people were registered for that meeting but won't be registered for the following meeting, which will be the special town meeting, annual town meeting. So we're going to need a time gap in there to let people leave the field, then come back and re-register. We talked about such things as the speaker system, social distancing, having a tent available over the poll workers who are going to, register people. How we're going to address sanitation in terms of porta potties or using school facilities. Trying to think what else was on that list. I actually sent it out to people. I don't know. And I'm sure I missed some of the things that we talked about. But I just wanted to have a handle on that so we don't come up to the day and say, oops, we forgot that kind of thing. So
do we have,
I can send it out to everybody, but
do we have a rain date?
yes.
The following week. So you know how we picked two dates? We picked the 21st and the following week. So we could have it on the 21st and then a rain date the following week. The only consideration would be that Michael would still have to go open the meeting up and postpone it to the following week. And I think that that's probably a good way to go. I didn't want us to vote on something and then have to go back and Jackie and Michael not approve of it or say this was not a good idea. So I wanted to make sure before we voted on it that they were all comfortable with the way. And the schools are the one that suggested it because they don't think that there's going to be enough room inside the building with all the social distancing and everything else that has to take place. I think it's probably a smart idea, and I thank the school department for coming up with that. So I'll entertain a motion to have the meeting on June 21st outside at the football field.
June 20th.
June 20th. June 20th with the rain date of June 27th outside at Aponequid football field.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan,
Aye.
Mr. Grunwald,
Aye.
and myself, yes. Also, guys, if you could think of anything that we need to consider, please send an email to David and let him know that, like things that we might be forgetting or things that you want to see happen over there.
Yeah, I can send the punch list out to them too, so everybody has it. Do we want to talk about a time for the meeting, given the fact that we're going to have that Lake District thing up front, and there's going to be a mixing of people that are registered for that may not be registered for the annual, like say, for example, have the meeting from 11 to 1 for the continuation of the Lake District, with the understanding we got to be done by 2, and then have a half hour where everybody leaves the field, and then we come back in at 3 and tackle the special town meeting, then the annual town meeting. I don't want to complicate things, but I'm just trying to think how logistically we are able to handle that kind of thing.
So,
David,
I suggested to Mike McHugh because he's been in contact with the lake people to find out if they're still bringing it forward, what's going on with that before we set a time. Because if they're definitely coming in, then I think that we have to set a time, but at least we know the date. I think we should hold off on the time and find out if their plan is still the same or if they're going to hold off until the fall or hold off for a year.
Okay.
So
the one recommendation I would have is that we do not have an hour-long break between the 2 meetings. If that's, unless I misunderstood what you said, David.
The break would be because people will have to leave because they're not registered for the annual and the special. So you want to make sure that you have everybody that's registered to vote. So everybody's going to leave and then have to come back in and re-register for the special and the annual. The perfect world situation would be that the Lake District says we'll do it in the fall. And that just sort of takes that whole unknown variable out of the equation.
The only thing I'm thinking is if it's a long meeting, middle of the day, considering the date, we could have an extremely hot day.
We
And to
thought
sit-
about that.
Hour. It could be detrimental for some people.
Would be for me.
Me too.
I'm sure I'll get burned. That's one of the things I was wondering about, maybe a later time. 2 o'clock is right at the top of the sun. I don't know.
Yeah,
Something
Yeah.
mosquito, you gotta think about mosquitoes too.
Right,
You gotta
yeah.
make sure that's one thing I didn't have on the list.
I think there should be water stations outside and, or people bringing bottled waters or whatever. I think there are a lot of logistics to consider. So that's why, like, sending all of our thoughts to David. And let's find out what the Lake District's gonna do, and then we can decide on what time.
One of the things that Mike McHugh had actually brought up to me last night was about the mosquitoes and our concern for triple. If you're doing a meeting in June, mid-June, late June, Tripoli isn't going to be a concern. Mosquitoes may still be a problem, but Tripoli, we're not going to see a problem with Tripoli probably until mid to late July. So any meeting in June, Tripoli itself won't be a concern. Mosquitoes may still be, but not Tripoli.
Okay, all right. Anything else, Derek?
I believe that was it for me.
Okay, anything for Charlie? Do you have anything for Derek?
No, I'm good. Derek, I did hear you talk about the statistics on recovery or lack
Yeah,
thereof.
I'll back you on that. It wasn't just clearly on the dashboard, so I'll look for it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Sure. George, anything else?
Yeah, I'd just like to get another agenda item on for whatever next meeting. I know this is not going to be well received, but what the hell? We have 8 or 9 people who are not covered by any contracts or unions or whatever, who are not getting raises because of that. And I would like to discuss that at the next meeting.
I don't know. We can discuss it. We're having a department head meeting today. George, I'm going to tell you, I know where your heart is, and mine is too, and I'm sure Charlie's is too, that we want to do as much as we can for the employees. But if we don't have the money, I don't know where we're going. And I know that everybody thinks that it's not going to happen. And we have the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee telling us we're going to have a double of what we had in FY10. FY10, we laid off 50 people. I don't want to lay off people and give raises at the same time. That does, in my head, makes no sense, but we can discuss it in 2 weeks.
But let me just give you a number to think
Right.
about.
George, if I could just interrupt just
We're
for the
getting
time.
off track.
Yeah,
See,
Charlie,
all right, I'm in favor of having that discussion, but like I think we're all gonna say this, it's not on the agenda for today, so
Right.
I think to put it on the agenda for the next meeting, that's fine with me. Okay,
okay. All right, Tim, are you back?
I'm back.
Okay, what's the next item on the agenda?
I'm not sure where you guys left off. Did you just-
So
town
we just
meeting?
finished our Derek discussion.
Which is the town meeting? Did you vote
Yes,
on the
they
town
voted
meeting?
on
Yes.
town meeting.
Okay, perfect. So next we have approve authorized town administrator to sign lease paperwork for 2 new Dodge Durangos, but that's actually already been taken care of, so we can skip that for
We're
today.
continuing to work on that, just so you know that.
Okay. So then we have Personnel Board, which is a reappointment of Jeffrey Field to the Board of Assessors, effective April 6th, and that would be through the annual town election. The board previously did this, but it was put to the date of April 6th. Obviously, that needs to continue with the delay with the election.
Personnel board,
all right, so I will enter any discussion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion's made.
Second.
Motion is seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Pacheco,
yes.
Mr. Grenwall,
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan, yes.
And that's it.
All right, is that it?
That's all I got.
Okay, everybody,
Good.
have a great day and see you in 2 weeks.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
All right,
Don't
bye.
Thank
Motion
you.
to adjourn and everything.
David?
Motion to
Yeah.
adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah,
Second,
Uh,
George is asking me something.
Yeah, just, could you call me or I can call you after this is over?
I actually have a conference call right after. I got to talk to Andy DeGamo about the senior center
2
refrigerator.
minutes. Call me whenever you can. It's a 2 minute.
All right, yeah, I can give you a call, and then I have another department head meeting, pre-meeting, and then a department head meeting. So I will do that in between. How's
Okay,
that?
no rush.
all right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan,
Aye.
Mr. Grunwall,
Aye.
and myself. Yes, bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.